on to the May 17th Town of Monroe Town Board meeting. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry, Brian. All right. I get a motion to open up the town board meeting for this evening.
I'll make that motion.
Cologne, a second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Aye. Get aye.
Okay. Before we begin with announcements, I just want to have a moment of silence for Phil Gagler, who passed away this past weekend. Phil was instrumental in politics in the town. He was very involved in community, and he had a 17-year battle with cancer where he was essentially on chemo the entire 17 years. So if we could just have a moment of silence for Phil. Thank you. Next up, community announcements. Town of Monroe Food Truck Festival. Sal?
So this is long overdue. I think it's, 15, 16 months we haven't had a food truck festival, so we're pretty excited about bringing this back. Same location. We'll try to get that same vibe we had a year and a half ago in October. Live music all day. We got over a dozen trucks, a couple dessert trucks. It's just beer tent. We're going to bring back the same enthusiasm we did a year and a half ago. So save that date. It's going to be a great day. Dial-a-Bus will be part of it as well, and I'm sure the whole town board will be present as well. So save the date. It'll be a great day.
And this June 19th, 11 to 7, and this year the benefactor will be the Community Foundation of Orange and Sullivan counties. Constant Contact, just reminded everyone out there to sign up for Constant Contact. It's been a great tool for us to get information out to you. Anything going on in the community will be on that email, and we hope that anyone out there who has not signed up will sign up immediately.
Any increase in membership in that?
Yeah, it's gone up about, in the last month, I think it's gone up about 180 people. So I know Jen had a couple people this morning. I saw her on her list that she had to enter. So, yeah, things are moving along with it.
More the better with that. Absolutely. Good.
All right. Okay, motion to open up the continuation of the public hearing for proposed local law AV1, amendment to the town code to regulate rental properties and transient housing. I'll make that motion.
Cologne, a second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ancarello, aye.
Get aye.
So moved. Mike, I know we have a new draft with the changes that were made, and I think the board did Max send it to the board today? Okay.
I don't remember seeing anything from Max today.
So essentially, let me just check here. We weren't going to close it tonight anyway, so.
I mean, I saw some of the comments that were made by were incorporated into this most recent draft. There's some things I have, a little bit of an issue. The one thing, just looking at it, 36 permit, permit to getting the second permit. And I don't know, that seems to be.
Say that again?
So when you get your first permit, you can't apply for another property, in other words, another house that you'd be doing an Airbnb in for 36 months. And I kind of thought, eligibility, yeah, so I was like, maybe, 24 months or whatever. But that seemed a little excessive. And then there was another, and I didn't mark it up. I marked that up. And it really had to do with, there's no grace period. So,
Right.
from the time that the law is enacted to the time people sign up. And I think we really need to compliance with whatever the local stipulates with 90 or whatever. We need to,
All right, we could,
I-
I know, I see the septic was in there, that's a good thing. So, yeah, go ahead, Mary, I'm sorry.
the
There were
septic's
two-
got to come out.
No, it was about the inspection of septic or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead, Mary.
All right, I had two other notes. I kind of looked at our current zoning board where it relates to bed and breakfasts, and it's 57-13E, 2 and 9. Those are the two subsections. One is about the driveway abutting a public town road. I think that might be a good safety feature to have, because right now, if it's on a private road that's not built up to town specs, and heaven forbid there's emergency, some emergency vehicle might have difficulties getting in there. And then the other thing is really very proactive, saying to have lighting or a hard surface like a sidewalk going from the driveway to the entrance of the building that's being an Airbnb. Or, well, I should say like a bed and breakfast, but I think that should also apply to the Airbnbs as well. That
Like a
people-
legitimate walkway as opposed to.
Yes, not walking across the
gravel or-
grass or some kind of flagstone, but a solid, hard walkway. So I guess we're still waiting for Max, so I don't know if we're going to have a revision again, but those would be two
Yeah.
other things.
Well, when he sends that out, I would reply back to him
Okay.
with your thoughts. My only thought about the whole not off a private road is that, besides it knocking out some of the people that were here at the meeting, maybe a compromise or alternative would be have the town highway superintendent inspect the road to make sure it complies with the response of emergency vehicle.
Exactly, because we want emergency vehicles to get in there, heaven forbid. Okay, thank you.
Something to give, obviously, yeah, if it's a dirt road or one lane or something, it's something that we'd want to consider. Any thoughts on it?
That provision might have also been there, where private roads are usually shared by homeowners, and there might be an issue of consent to the other homeowners, allowing the use of the private road, so that may be why they only allowed it where there's access to a public road. So we didn't have a situation where somebody objects to visitors coming in on a private road and making use of it when they're doing a shared cost for the maintenance of the private
Right, because the more vehicles going up and down the private road, the higher the maintenance could be incurred, right. I agree.
Nugent, at the last meeting that you weren't here at, the attorney that you sent, who's clearly not up to your high caliber standard. No, I'm just kidding. He was great. Some people from the HOA for Osseo Park came, and they had basically concerns about having these or had that ability to do so, and yeah, that was something that
Yeah, I mean,
Because
the
up and above
HOAs
what the town does, they can do their own.
Yeah, the
regulations.
HOAs make their own rules, so if they want to prohibit, rentals, they can do that.
So, if there's nothing else to be said, I'll make a motion to keep open the continuation of the public hearing for the proposed local law AV1, amendment to Chapter 57 of the Town Code to regulate rental properties and transient housing to June 7th at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter.
On the second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Go on, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Good night.
So moved. Motion open the continuation of public hearing regarding petition to amend zoning ordinance Monroe Ninninger LLC. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Go on, aye.
Cardone, aye.
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 So moved. We're going to keep that open, and there's no further update on it. And I will make that motion to keep open the continuation of a public hearing regarding the petition to amend zoning ordinance Monroe Ninninger LLC. And I'm going to make that for October 4th, 2021. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call-
Just before, just second, real quick for discussion, is
Yeah.
just in case people are wondering what that's about, it's the height limit for, in the HI zone, increasing it from
50 feet, which it originally was.
Wait, here, 52. No,
Which it originally was until we did the comp plan.
Yes, and that was for a development that is before the planning board, but we can't really take any action on it until they have done their work on it, so.
So that's October 4th at 7 p.m. or immediately thereafter. Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
At 7 o'clock?
Yeah.
Go on, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Aye.
I
Okay, so moved. Before we get on to light touch, if everybody could, if you need to, and what I'd like, Mr. Nugent, is if you could come in. We'll be with you in a second, Michael. Brian, if you could sign on and I'll make you host. Jen should have sent you a link.
So we're waiting to sign on.
Oh, you can sign on now.
Okay.
I just have to make, yes.
Yeah, this afternoon.
While you're looking for that, let's go on to item 6 quick, the acceptance of minutes. So I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of April 19th, 2021.
Bingham,
Any changes, revisions, alterations, adjustments? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Go on, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Ankro, aye.
Aye.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes of April 22nd, 2021?
I'll make that motion.
Go on, second.
All right.
Want me to forward to you right now?
Okay.
Are you ready to forward it? I'll forward it.
Oh, yeah, forward it to him. Call it.
Well, there was one correction, Mary Ann Mellon, sorry. The
April
reverb is
22nd.
getting to me. The starting time of the meeting, that was corrected. Okay, so,
Okay.
Normally, that's
Bless you. This is the quick meeting we had via Zoom. So call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Go on, abstain.
Cardone, aye.
Ankro, aye.
Aye.
No, you got to abstain, Mike.
Oh, that's right, I wasn't there. I thought we did this at the last meeting, no?
No, we didn't have a majority.
Oh, that's right. All right.
Okay.
I stand corrected. I abstain.
Can we accept the minutes from, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from May 3rd, 2021?
Bingham to second.
Any changes, alterations, adjustments, corrections, revisions, what have you? Nope. Okay, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Go on, aye.
I'm abstaining, I was not here.
Ankro, aye.
And I was here.
Okay, so moved. Okay, so I'm going to make you host here, and Okay, so Michael Brander is going to be giving a presentation this evening. He is, hold on a second. This is in, hold on. Give me a second, Brian. Make host, okay. So Michael came down because we've been having I think you got to move that away from the mic. Oh. So Michael came down because we've been having an issue with some of the lights in here. And I had a conversation with Sandro Severo, who takes care of the electric in here. And Sandro's thought was that basically what would happen is we have a system in here that has a company that is no longer in business. They've been out of business since 2015. There's modules down in the basement that control all the different sections of the lighting in here. They're starting to fail. Michael has been brought in. He's one of the only companies, I believe, on the East Coast that can that has the capability and the equipment that is compatible with the system that we have and can convert it so that if these start going, the modules start going, we're not going to be without lights. Like if you see the center chandelier, that module is gone. If you see the spots in the middle, that module is either gone or on the way out because they were on last meeting. So without any further ado, Michael, if you just want to introduce yourself and move forward.
Before we start, what audio are we using? Otherwise, we're going to have echoes all over.
I kill this?
I muted my audio.
Got to mute.
One of us needs the volume on. Your volume needs to be off.
Yep.
Okay.
Best.
Sounds good.
All right, try again, Mike.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
New problems, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for entertaining me this evening. We appreciate you meeting together tonight. Wanted to just go over this presentation that we shared with Tony a couple weeks ago and bring you up to speed on some of the details. So, as Tony mentioned, the system that you currently have is touch reputable around since 1978. But has been mentioned, discontinued in 2015. So that raises some problems, really. Currently, it's difficult to locate the parts for replacement, and they are failing. We've seen them in a number of installations. There's no support available. Just like you have with your iPhone or your Android phone, there's constant updates that fix things, that fix security issues. No support left on this system. And then you're going to have some LED dimming issues because these modules are older and they're not necessarily compatible with some of the latest fixtures that are out there that are LEDs. So what do we do about that? Well, there's a couple of different things to do, but in our experience, we like to recommend Savant as a solution. And they're a company that's been around since 2005. They are an international leader in control and automation. And I would think that anything that you would move to from your light touch system, you would want it to be something where people were invested in lighting, because you don't want to have to make this move again because of something getting discontinued. Now, we can't read the future, but Savant did acquire GE Lighting last year. So they are very much in the lighting space and committed to it. We found good support and these systems are working well. Give you a little overview of the way that the system works. First of all, with the architecture of the system, it's a simplified installation. I don't know if you've been downstairs to look at the way that the current lighting is set up, but they're proprietary enclosures with large modules that take out the whole wall. In this case, we're talking about a system that actually gets put into common electrical panels. And so that's just a much better solution, especially when you work with an electrician on this type of item. Just to give you an idea what that looks like, currently this is your panel system. It's just a little representation of what that is. But this is what we say it will look like after we're finished with the upgrade. So quite a difference there, and that just minimizes your risk when it comes to the parts that break and with maintenance and reliability of the system. The components that are installed on the system are these lighting modules. And as you can see, they look a lot like a circuit panel breaker, but they're not. They're modules that are companion to those. They use adaptive phase dimming, which is a modern way of dimming LED lights. We use a keypad power module that goes down there. That was that black box that you saw in the previous picture. And then we communicate with these outside of the high voltage that's inside of the panel using a wireless controller. And that's better for the low voltage parts. They'll last a lot longer when they're outside of the electrical panel. So it's really an excellent design. As far as the keypads, they have a modern design. They have engraving on the buttons. They're backlit. They come in a variety of colors. The buttons and keypad plates themselves, you can either get white, light almond, black, and then those colors that come through the engraving, they come in a number of different colors that you can use in different rooms to personalize it. Okay, so let's set up a little demo that I can show you of this in a live setup.
Yes.
App looks like, in addition to the keypad control that you'll get on the wall, like you have now, you have the ability to use this in an app, and you can give access to specific users, so it's very secure. So in this case, you'll see a lighting option on the front, and we just mocked up a couple of possibilities here. We have Tony's office. When we click on that, all the lights in the room can be controlled through this very simple interface, or we can control individual lights with the sliders here for dimming. Notice there that we have several. Yes, you can control lights in the building, all seen. So it's possible that you could come to the office, you could hit this welcome button, and all the lights in the building come on at once. If the last person's leaving, you have a goodbye. And you could set the building to go off or leave certain ones on. These can also be scheduled. So you could say every day at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., everything goes off or only certain lights. Or if maybe you're coming in to do some work on and off hours, you could have your own scene that's personalized that just lights up a pathway to your office. So you can see how it's energy efficient as well. There's some value that's added to this system. It does have a brain that controls not just lighting, but other things inside of this app. So for instance, you see cameras there. You can hook in climate potentially to it. You could control other things like your audio video system in the room you're in now. It's not included in this particular proposal, but you would have the foundation for doing those things.
Question, daylight savings time and Eastern Standard Time, is that?
Can't hear you, I'm sorry.
That's right, I'm muted.
Yeah, just
Yes, sorry, I have to unmute myself. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Those are the brain
Sorry, hang on.
of a cloud system and the internet to keep its time. So daylight savings time will be applied, absolutely, and Eastern time, based on the fact that the brain of the system resides here in your facility. Yeah, we actually set that up during the setup process. We give it a latitude and longitude to do that. Oh. So now the proposal details, just to give you a very high level overview of the parts and labor. That's what's the cost is. And Tony has this proposal, so he can share the details with you on that. The electrical work is a separate piece. We do work very closely with an electrician. We bring our own if you don't have one, but I have talked with one that you've used quite often there, and it's very seamless. We work well together, but that is a separate cost. So now I can that looks like. So just a little bit about us, iQuarters. We are one of only a couple hundred companies in the whole United States that qualify to be HTA certified. It's a third-party certification that you have to get as a technology company, and it's a very small percentage of companies qualify for it. And that's because in our industry, there's a lot of people who say they do what we do, but they're not qualified to do so. And so that's something that you can check out yourself and look at those qualifications. As far as being able to represent Savant, we're what we call an ambassador. So we're one of their highest level integrators that they have to be able to install a product like this. And we've been doing that for several years with this product of this lighting upgrades. What is the scope of this project? Might be hard to see that on your screen, but we're going to engineer this new system for you. Basically going to come in and see what you have now as far as what are all the layout of your current lighting loads. We're going to document the new system. We're going to install the new keypads. We're going to commission and program the new system that you have. We're going to work side by side with that electrician until it's completely done and working well. And then we're going to provide training to you on how do you use this and how do we get the most out of it? How do we customize it so that you can get the most out of this? And we don't do any electrical work or any permitting that needs to be done or any repairs of any fixtures that you might have an issue with, but the electrician's there to do those things. It's an important piece, the training and documentation, because you need to know how it works, but then you also need to know what you have there in case in years to come, someone else works on the system. So you really have a valuable asset with that documentation when we're finished. Okay, let's get into the details here. So here's how it works with the lighting modules. Each one of the modules can do 2 loads of light. And so that means, let's say you're in a room and you have center lights and then you have sconces. They're 2 separate light switches. Those are 2 loads of lighting. We need 1 companion module to do that room. And so that's how we do it. It's just a matter of math. We went through and we counted what you currently have, and then we also counted the keypads, and that's how we came up with this. There is a Mac Mini that goes on to the site, and that's basically to control the building. That's how it's the brain of the operation. Then we load the software on top of that device. We are putting in a small network switch. We're putting in a UPS that protects the equipment from power outage, and then a small rack that goes on the wall to protect the equipment. And that's basically all there is for the parts, and then we have the labor that's involved in that. There's quite a bit of programming that needs to be done, but again, we've included that documentation and training, and the component installation and all the commissioning. Questions, parts, or anything?
Mike, just
Just unmute yourself. Unmute yourself on Zoom so he can hear you. You're showing muted. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
Tony
you had a
addressed
question.
one, and that is some of the failure of the modules and how that's impacting the lights. But then what we also saw was there are a couple of rooms that have walls in between, but all the lights are controlled off of one switch. So when someone in one room turns off the lights, they turn it off for everybody, even though there's a wall between them. So we talked with Alessandro, your electrician, and included in this proposal is the ability to separate those rooms. There's I believe two instances of that. Separate those out. Part of this project, I'll eliminate that. To answer a question Tony had was how quickly could we get this done and how could we do it without impacting your work? We can get the parts usually within a couple of days. So we haven't had some of the supply chain issues that some industries have had. In some things we have, but not in this. And then we would propose starting on a Friday evening after you're finished work and then concluding on Sunday with most of the work. Now, there might be some things to do as we start that next week, but you'd be able to operate going forward. So hopefully, interrupt.
Okay.
Unmute there, and I've got, just let me know when somebody's talking, because I have to turn off the speaker. So you're good, whoever wants to. I just got to unmute myself. Yep, there you go, so he can hear you.
Okay. You can hear me, Mike? I can. Okay. So.
And you'll notice that that Savant Pro Host is a Service Plus item, and that means that you get free upgrades for the life of the product.
Okay, so both of those are fixed costs.
That's correct.
Right.
Not done any municipalities. I've done a number of residential projects that are much bigger than this, to be honest with you. 15,000 square foot homes. We've done a number of commercial properties, but anything that we've done have always been newer installs. We haven't had any actually light touch in a commercial setting, but it's all the same thing from a technology standpoint.
All right. So just to understand real quick, so it'd be 39,000, like almost 40,000 just for your end of it, and then whatever.
That's on top of the 39.9.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for the answer. Appreciate it.
Anyone else?
No, Rick, no, your Zoom was good. You got to unmute yourself so Mike can hear you on Zoom. And I think, yeah, now you should be good.
How will you advise us on the hardware updates? Because like the same system now, eventually things will just wear out. And, they'll get outdated as time goes on. Because the technology upgrades that are going on now with computers and software and everything else seems to move at a more rapid pace every day. So how would that be handled? How much lead time will we get?
So for hardware, it falls into different categories in our industry. When we're talking about audio and video, there's a new TV model every year. When it comes to lighting, there is a little bit more longevity with it, because if you have fixtures, you tend to keep those fixtures for quite a long time. And that's going to give you some life to the system. So we're saying somewhere in the neighborhood to 7 to 10 years before you'd even look at what hardware and lighting has made any improvements. And so we would expect the system to be in that range as well. Now, what's great about it too, though, is because the modules only do 2 channels of light, if there is one that goes bad, or if there's something where it's like, hey, in this room we want to do this different kind of light fixture and it needs something different, we only have to replace that one thing. And that was, as you saw, the most expensive piece on that was like $300 for a module. So yeah, we do tech reviews each year. In fact, another portion of this is support. So we issue 6 months on this system from a labor standpoint. That's included. The hardware is 5 years of warranty. And but after 6 months, then we have different plans, or you don't have to have a plan with us at all, and we can have just an hourly rate, just like your electrician would. But yeah, we've been around since 1997, so we've been able to continue to keep our customers going for many, many years, and we would do the same for you. Really, we form a partnership that way. I don't know if that answers your question completely, but.
Yes, that was complete. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you provide me, this way I could provide the board, and I'll do a little background check on a couple of references?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, you're looking for vendor recommendations, or you're looking for customers?
Customers.
The preferred technology vendor for BOCES. You're in the area, so we can put you in touch with them for sure.
That'd be great.
We just did Crystal Run Villages Incorporated in Middletown. We just did their headquarters. We're the technology vendor for Johnston's Auto Group. So we do a lot of commercial in the area.
Yeah, that's good. If you could provide me with those, that'd be great, and a contact person. Thank you very much. Anybody have anything else? All right, Mike, thank you very much. Appreciate your time this evening. Great presentation.
Thank you for all your hard work there at the town.
Oh, you're welcome. Our pleasure.
Appreciate it. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Okay. Lots of questions?
If they bought GE, I don't think they're a small operation, number one. Number two, if they're going to be giving updates on, tech updates, semi-annual and annually, I think that speaks a lot for it. And I guess, check out the references and see how people like their service. I think for what has to be done, I think it's a decent price, to be honest with you. This stuff can get very pricey.
Yeah.
I'd like to see is if we could vet those references and then just maybe look at these numbers. The one thing that and Sal said to me as we were looking at it, they're all rounded out, You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, listen, I know what he's
And listen,
saying.
believe me, I didn't pick up on that Salvin because,
That's his business. Numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean,
Scares
I
me a
think,
little to see numbers that are flat like that on everything.
Yeah, usually it's an odd number.
Well, the documentation and training is 1,920.
yeah.
So,
Now, listen, obviously, it's something that we're going to have to do because we can't sit here in the dark.
Obviously needed, for sure.
I don't think we have a
We've been
way
in the
out
dark too long, so we can't be in
Yeah.
the dark anymore, so,
of it. What's going to cost us is all the training and upgrades
yeah.
eventually.
But it was a very good
Training and
presentation.
Training and upgrades, the hardware upgrades.
And they're local, they're out of Montgomery.
they're out of Montgomery, yeah, I quarter.
We're all about local.
Yep.
As long as we're not getting beaten up
Yeah.
over it.
So, very good.
All right. On to the order of claims. Item 7.1 is the general abstract. We need approval for abstract 21-08 from the general fund containing checks 26977 through 27039 for $488,546.30, and one wire transfer containing check number 336 totaling $1,551.02. I'll make that motion.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Clone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Oh, aye.
Good night.
So moved. We have an escrow abstract, abstract number 21-06, in escrow containing checks 1971 through 1973, totaling $17,619.35.
Clone to make the motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Clone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Oh, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Road opening abstract. We have two of them, two refunds. The first one is for A&M Developer for $2,500 for $1,294. The second one was for Teresa Ferraro for $1,000, check number 1295. And the total amount for those refunds is $3,500. They have been approved by the highway superintendent.
Clone to make the motion.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Clone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cancarello, aye.
Good night.
Okay. Item 8.1 in new business. We have received a letter from a member of the community, Chip Pastiglione. First name is really Francis. He's has requested to be an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term expiring 12/31/2024. And Chip has, he's gone to Monroe Woodbury High School. He has children in the area. He is an engineer. And he was referred to us through Mike Murphy.
Thought he was a surveyor?
I'm sorry, surveyor, not
Okay.
engineer,
But
surveyor.
also 30 years with Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, that's what I
pretty
meant.
high,
Yeah,
so
surveyor with Army Corps of Engineers.
I'm just glad people are stepping up to good,
Yep.
with a good background, so very happy to hear that.
Seems like you've got exceptional qualifications.
Yeah,
Yeah, very essential, yeah.
so I'll make the motion to approve Chip to one of the alternate positions on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Clone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Oh, aye.
Good night.
Okay, so moved. Okay, item 8.2, reopening a town hall to the public. We want to reopen town hall on June 1, and there will be some guidelines in place, most likely just temperature. I'm not sure where we're going to be with the masks. I'm going to assume it will probably be maskless. We'll see what happens with CDC and the state going forward. I know today, as of Wednesday, of it, was that outdoor and indoor?
I think if you were vaccinated.
If you're vaccinated.
If you're vaccinated, you know,
Vaccinated, it said outdoor and indoor, but there were, I guess, some stores, some places that could say you have to wear a mask.
Private,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's up to the respect.
Mhm.
I know Disney lifted the mask requirement today or yesterday.
We haven't been opened up
Right.
here since we moved up here. So how are we handling opening up the doors as
Yes.
far as the public?
The public will come in. If there's a request to see someone in the building department will come upstairs and escort them downstairs. Yeah, I mean, listen, Mike was spot on with his security assessment of this building, and having the one in and out is really what the protection is.
I agree with that. I just wanted to.
Yeah,
make
they'll still
sure
have to sign in.
That was what we spoke about
Yeah.
before this COVID all hit.
Yeah.
So, okay, very good.
Yeah, and I think our temperature scanners, which there's actually one behind you there, we just finished putting those together. They're great. They tell you if you have a mask on or you don't have a mask on.
Yes, I know.
We're gonna have to, yeah.
They told me I didn't.
And like I said, we got 4 of them for the price of 2 of the other ones we had looked into. So it worked out good. So yeah, anybody have any questions?
Are we surplusing the old ones? Are we using them like in another area?
No, we never owned them.
Oh, okay.
even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
We never purchased
Well,
them.
we leased them.
And that was a loaner.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's better.
So, okay. Item 8.3, we have a request regarding an Eagle Scout ceremony to be held here at Town Hall on July 10th for 2 brothers, Cody Shapiro. They're both members, Cody and Michael Shapiro, they're both members of Troop 440. Cody was the young man who built the 10 picnic tables for Monbassia Park, 4 of which were handicap accessible. And Cody was inspired to create the seating for the town-owned property to allow for residents to gather and enjoy use of the park. His brother Michael did a paver patio, construction of that at the Monroe Volunteer Ambulance Corps. So what we're looking to do is approve this for July 10th here, and I would personally like to waive the fee because of what the benefit to the town was.
I couldn't agree with them. They've done so much for
Yeah.
us. I mean, not to, go on, but they really have. I mean, it's amazing what they've done. I came by here Sunday night to pick up my packet, and, they're out there watering the plants.
Yeah, Steve had called me.
It's like,
No, Steve had called me, he said he wanted to stay on top of it,
Yeah,
and
so-
maintenance has been watering them, but that extra,
on
that
the
extra little
weekend,
bit.
yeah, so.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. And listen, we've always said this. I mean, it's people like, Jeff Manson, Steve Thaw, and the rest of their leaders that, set the example and have guided these boys to rise to a level that is beyond belief here. So,
Just keep producing them.
yeah,
Great work.
Amazing kids.
Yep.
Couldn't hope that better.
great. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Clone, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Jeff, or? Okay. All right, so we have a dial-a-bus IMA with the town of Blooming Grove. I've been speaking with Supervisor Geralman. We had a long conversation today about this. The only thing he'd like to add into this Brian, is a reciprocation from us to Blooming Grove. So if they have to take, because the thing is that Blooming Grove doesn't have a dial-a bus.
Yeah, they have like the senior
They have a
bus, they call
senior
it.
bus. They never received that designation from the county, and I don't think the county is giving them that designation. So, like that reciprocal bus, problem with it. It's basically to get our residents and their residents to doctors, and possibly maybe to a supermarket. They're not picking up our residents and taking them somewhere else, as KJ is, and that's been a bone of contention with myself and the county for the last 10 months. So,
But do you want to approve this tonight in a final form approved by our office? Or,
Yes, that would
and
be
just
great.
obviously in full disclosure, as you all know, we represent the town of Blooming Grove as well, so assuming both parties consent, we'll draft the agreement with those conditions in mind, and then if you're satisfied with those conditions, we can approve it tonight in a form approved by town council for the supervisor to sign.
Yeah, hey, Mr. Supervisor, just real quick, so we'll be picking on call, we'll be,
No, we're taking our residents into a doctor's office there.
all right, so
The
it's
reason-
only a couple locations.
Yeah, and the reason, or, to, a dentist or the reason this happened was we had a resident last week call up Tomm and wanted to get transported to, on 208 there, to a doctor's office. And Tomm's following the guidelines and said, I can't do that. He had emailed Jen and I, and, I called Supervisor Geralman. He was very receptive, said, no, take him out there, we'll work on the IMA, because the son of the woman who wanted to be transported said, well, then we'll just find new doctors in Monroe. I don't want people to have to do that, because, now you got an insurance issue, and you're going to somebody you might not be comfortable with, so,
They're a Monroe address, it's just they're in,
yeah.
they're in the town of Blooming
Yeah,
Grove,
town of
right?
Blooming Grove, so,
All right,
all right,
I just was looking unclear on that, I just wanted to ask.
yeah. So,
Upon approval of
upon approval of the, of council in a form that is conducive to his expertise, I would like to make a motion to approve the intermunicipal agreement between Town of Monroe and Town of Blooming Grove for dial bus transportation of our respective residents into the other's town.
I'll second that motion.
Question? Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Can I,
Okay, so moved. Okay, Mary, Water District 1 fund balance.
They currently have, well, I got a report from Roberta back on April 23rd. At that time, they had $154,000 and some change. They've had to do a lot of work there because over the years, everybody said when the Rye Hill corridor gets developed, they'll roll it into that. Unfortunately, the can has been kicked too many times down the road. So even simple things like a garage door, that overhead door,
Right.
had to be replaced. And I think I brought a picture of that. I could show it to you if you wanted to see it. And the pressure tank in there, there's just several things that have to be done. Like I said, it's just been done over the years. It's been passed along. So in addition, they also needed disinfection byproduct testing and the tank replacement, and just this is getting to be a large amount of repairs and upkeep that we need to do now. So we're thinking $25,000 to take it from fund balance here and to let highway and the water operator get going on this stuff, because we don't want that pressure tank to actually fail, and then Water District 1 users won't have any water. So I'd like to make a motion to transfer $25,000 from fund balance from Water District 1 to allow for necessary repairs.
I'll second that.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
And I, with the full disclosure that I do live in Ward District Number 1.
Okay. O&R Sorority Bond. I'll pass that on to Mr. Nugent because there was a little hiccup there on some wording that you were looking into.
Yeah, if the board has no objection, I would just like to table this to the next meeting. Just an issue I wanted to review with the bond and the type of bond it is. So if it's not urgent, then we can put it off till the next meeting and I'll provide a response.
So I'll make a motion to table that to the June 7th meeting.
Second that.
Call the question.
Am I?
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Oh, aye.
Okay. So next up, item 8.7 is a near map proposal. Okay, this is a system that was presented to us through our assessor, Rip Noblin. It's a system that essentially provides you with a Google Map type look at properties. And what they do is they do flyovers every 6 months. And what happens is when they do those flyovers, I'll give you just a couple of points about the system. When they do those flyovers, items that were not there in the previous 6 months are highlighted. I think they're highlighted in blue. So that if someone put a shed there and the shed wasn't there, then you can see that this guy put a shed there, he didn't get a permit for the shed. The other aspect of it is that it will also streamline the assessor's office's ability to do measurements without actually having to go out in the field. The measurements are within 6 inches of accuracy. And there are a couple of, situations which the building department could use this. So the cost would essentially be split in some way. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be 50-50, but the cost could be, applied in the building department's budget as well. The price that was given, and I just want clarity on this, was if we did the license for 2 departments, it would be $7,000 versus $6,000 for 1 department. And we could essentially have the license possibility that the village might use a system like this, and we could do an IMA with the village for that. Ben was pretty much impressed. I mean, Rip thinks it's a great tool. I personally like it. So what I would like to do is, if we could pass a motion tonight, and I'll get better pricing for our next meeting, but if we could pass a motion tonight with a cap on what the cost would be, let's say it's $7,000, let's say it's $7,500, have to consider.
Certainly, this could be something that would wind up bringing in revenue anyway.
Yes.
That would offset the cost. And I'm not saying it's a revenue generator. I'm
No.
just saying it's something that, and listen, we've had a fair amount of unauthorized building that has.
Yeah, because you could
A
essentially.
baseline to start with,
this
and now
every
from that
6
baseline.
months.
Yeah, because it's a flyover done every 6 months, and the competition of Near Map does it, I think, every 2 years. But what was neat was, and what I'd like them to do is give a presentation similar to the one that Michael gave tonight. What was neat is you could take 5 years ago, and you could start there, and you roll over the screen with the mouse, and it gives you 6 months increments right on top of it as to, so if you had a vacant piece of land, and then all of a sudden you started seeing houses pop up, and then all of a sudden there's an addition on this one house, it highlights it. So, yeah, it's pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Listen, I'll make a motion that we approve up to $8,000 for this program. pending better, more accurate pricing by the vendor.
All right, I'll second that.
Do you have a fun, are you taking this from both departments as far as?
Yeah, it's going to be from both departments. The breakdown will be determined at a later date, but there's money in the budgets, in each department's budget for it, yeah. Any other
Everyone else,
comments?
before I throw that out
Well, I
there?
think it'll definitely pay for itself, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I
Would
think
they have
it'll,
a drone flyover?
I don't know how they do it, but they do it, they're not just doing it for our town, they're doing the whole country.
It's probably a
Goes
satellite.
up in a little helicopter.
Yeah.
No, probably the satellites. I mean, Google Earth.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's also going to help the people who are trying to sell their homes. And like you said, the shed, you may think that shed's been there for 10 years, but, you know, it's not within the zoning guidelines. And then you are going to run into a whole problem with delaying the closing because now you have to do certain things to get that official certification. So I think it's a great idea.
What I also like about it, remember we had a couple of months ago, one of our residents was complaining about another resident next door that had an extraordinary amount of vehicles
Oh, yeah.
doing repairs. I think it'll stop a lot of that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a useful tool. I think people will welcome that, you know, as far as, and also abandoned homes, dilapidated homes, we can take action faster.
A lot of
Good point.
applications, for sure.
Good point. Okay. So call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Hello, night.
Cardone, aye.
Aye.
All right, so moved. All right, old business. Item 9.1, Water District 8, new water source feasibility study. So I'm going to turn this over to Mary, but it's not a new water source feasibility study. No, it is. It is a new water source. The study that Mary reviewed was from 78?
79 was one of them, and 81 was the second. But I thought it'd be interesting to see that historical perspective here.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so it used to be called the Hopless water system, and it used to have 135 users. And they had a problem. There were 3 wells there, and people kept running out of water. So one of the possible solutions was, you know, just buy the system and see if you can make those wells run. And that was that engineering study that I had gotten from Mary Ellen. And at the time, the village was charging, the original analysis was done on June 1979, and the village was charging $2 per 1,000 gallons. Then the second analysis was done October 15th in 1981, and the rate was $3.90 per 1,000 gallons. There was an IMA that was done, let's see, in 1998, and it was $5.10 per 1,000 gallons. The current rate is $10.88 per 1,000 gallons. So you can see over the years, it's really increased as far as the cost per 1,000 gallons. The problem with the wells was there were 3 wells. 2 of them were not in service because of lack of water, and the third well, which was 244 feet deep, only could produce 40 gallons per minute, which was not enough to supply the 135 users. So over the years, that district has grown. We are now up to 180 users. Water District 8 currently has a deficit because 2 years ago, there was a problem with the amount of chloride residuals that were in the water tank. And basically, we're buying processed water at $10.88 per 1,000 gallons, and we had to let it go down the drain. So the district is in arrears right now in the amount of water that the residents have paid for compared to how much the village has charged for that water. So usually Helen does a report for me every quarter, And I think it was about $50,000 was the last one that was showing how much it was in arrears.
It was.
Yeah. So I asked for a new one, but we haven't gotten it yet because the village's quarter is about like 1 month different from our billing quarter. So it's always a little bit of a lag. So maybe next month I'll have more of an exact number. So that's kind of the history. And the cost for a new well is about $100,000, a municipal well. And again, that can vary greatly depending how deep you have to go to hit water. So you want to continue because you...
Yeah, no, it was, we had some discussions, John, Sherney, and myself, and, we thought with this big discrepancy that we thought that we could supplement the system by putting our own wells up there, and instead of the village's water, and it would be at a lesser cost for the residents up there in the long run. Obviously, you got the expense of the new well, but, the cost of refilling that tank because of the contaminants that were in there, and maybe the contaminants is not a good word.
Disinfection byproducts.
Disinfection byproducts
Right.
that were in there, really put a burden on those users in the area. So I think that researching this and trying to move forward with a new well to supplement the system would be a good idea. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to do it, but it definitely has to have some sort of cost savings in the long run for the residents.
One question is it allowed under the current IMA with the village? Because I think when that district was formed, it's usually that the wells have to be abandoned. I didn't look at the formation of the district documents. So that may be just one more thing we should research before going through.
All right, we could
Okay.
research that, or?
Yeah, Mary Ellen's going to be on top of it tomorrow, I can tell.
Oh, Jesus.
I
Pull
guess
the
Mary's
records
not
tomorrow.
researching, you're researching it, all right.
She's nodding her head. She
That was
knows.
quick.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
okay.
Because otherwise we'd have to hire a hydrologist and engineering studies, and let's first find out if it's something that we can actually pursue.
That'll probably cost more than a well.
Well, hopefully not.
Okay, thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
All right. Next up, item 9.2 is the IMA for the grant writing services, just to extend it. The resolution authorizing supervisor to sign the extension of the IMA agreement with the Village of Monroe, Village of Harriman, for grant writing services provided through Millennium Strategies for the period May 1 through 2021 through April 30th, 2022. Both the villages have approved it and signed it. Harriman signed it this past week. So I'm just looking for a motion and a second to approve the supervisor to sign that.
Bingham to second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Anchorall, aye.
Again, aye.
So moved. And then one other item that was added to tonight's agenda is the memorandum of agreement between the town of Monroe and the International Brotherhood of Electric Workers, IBEW, relating to the town of Monroe Highway Department. It's basically an agreement for a stipend for our water administrator, who we approved at a previous meeting. And this form, as long as it's approved by the IBEW, which it hasn't been sent to them yet, would serve as a MOU for those services of the administrator. Yeah, we're going to need a motion in a second.
Cologne, a motion.
Bingham to second.
Okay. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Cologne, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Anchorall, aye.
Again, aye.
Okay, so moved. All right. Public comment?
Board Brower?
If it's not
Because
believing,
I'll
you'll
let
hear
you
from him.
The voice from the basement will let you know.
Voice of God.
No attention to that man behind the curtain.
Oh, no, not,
Ward Brower, private citizen and Conservation Commission. I want to thank Sal again, he stepped up to the plate again. We get some vests for the Conservation Commission, much appreciated. The first round, we had a little problem with fit. This will do. Thank you, Sal. We really do. And a question on the Google, whatever, near map, whatever it is, on the resolution, can they do heights of buildings or just,
Oh, they could do heights of buildings as well.
and that's within the same parameters of variation or discrepancies or tolerances?
Yeah, it's 6 inches.
Pretty good.
Yeah. It basically becomes a street view then, from what I understand.
Good system.
Yeah.
And then did a Google, well, not a Google, a semi-Zoom conference, the Conservation Commission, and in relation to, there's actually two types of forests we have around here. For the want of a better word, we have rural forest or indigenous forest, and then we have, with development, urban forest. And we're finding that the urban forests dealing with, it's like looking into the future, because urban conditions are a lot more drastic than rural conditions. We've had heat loss from buildings, asphalt soaks up heat, and the plants that grow in it and survive in it, native ones that were traditionally used in this area, do not do well. So what they're doing is they're actually going to states south of us and finding the native species from that and recommending those to be used. It's interesting because once you get out of that microclimate of an urban setting and go less than a quarter of a mile, it's a drastic change again. And the two important things we want the public to realize why trees are important. They soak up carbon, which is one of the global warming gases. And the other thing is they act as air conditioners. Nature's an air conditioner. That's when you walk into park areas, it's always cooler than walking through Manhattan on the streets. So it's important that we have vegetation. And it's, unfortunately, the climate has changed rapidly. And this is an ongoing thing. The other aspect of this is that diseases and insects, which normally were not a problem a couple of years ago, which migrate from the southern climates, come in here, and they have no natural predators to keep them under control, they become a problem. So ramifications of this are enormous, but just grin and bear it. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ward.
Thank you, Ward.
thank you.
Hey, Ward, what's the cicada forecast for Monroe?
Oh,
Are we
yeah.
gonna
Oh,
get?
boy.
Good question.
Yeah.
It's all over. What I've read and heard, it's going to be a real good year for that.
Yeah.
The only nice thing about it is they're not threatening.
Yeah.
It's not like the gypsy moths or anything like that. They're just annoying.
Right.
Because there's just so many of them. And you walk
When do
around
they
and crunch
do?
on them.
They do, Ward.
June.
Between 7 and 14 years as a cycle, depending on.
Yeah.
From
The
17
last
years
time.
and 11 years. So.
It's funny, I was reading an article on it about 2 weeks ago, and they talked about how it's a buffet for all the birds and
Oh, yeah.
predators, but then what happens is after like 3 or 4 weeks, it's like, I'm tired of eating the same old stuff again, leave them alone.
They do. They stuff themselves and they say, I don't want any more. They go away. Go away.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
but they're not like the gypsy moths, which are really devastating.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
So
they're
it's
destructive,
just-
right?
And then one thing about that, that's sort of a normal thing we come to expect within those periods. So it's not just that we don't see them every day. So when we hear about it, it looks like an annoyance, but it's been going on for eons, so don't worry about it.
I don't think the brood that is indigenous to this area is actually scheduled this year. This is the slightly southern brood. if that's correct. I'm not sure.
Well, the article I
Again-
read said it was scheduled, they were scheduled for this. There was two broods. There was a
Two broods,
15-year and
yeah.
a 17-year or
Yeah,
something like that.
there's two out there. And
Yeah.
then that is, then it's changing because of probably global warming. So, live and bear it. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Ward.
Thanks, Ward. That's it? So, just so everyone knows, we had on the agenda summer hours for executive session. I just want to table that till June, because we haven't made a decision. Yeah, but we haven't, we're still talking with the departments, trying to work something out. So, if everybody's okay with that.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All right. Anybody else have any other items? No? If that's the case, I will make a motion to adjourn at 8:16.
I was second.
I'm sorry, 8:14. 8:14. Second, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Go on,
Cardone, aye.
Aye.
Good night.